Okay, so I understand from Mr. Dover that it got a little feisty this morning, and we'll have none of that. Just to set the tone early on. I think that what we're going to start to do, and we should get right to it because I understand, Senator, you have a flight, is that correct? So we'll go right ahead and get things started. I knew that was coming. Do you want to say that a little louder, or are you all right?
Charter flight.
No.
We're going to start with 3-minute opening statements, and we're going to do it alphabetically. So, Assemblyman Brodsky, you're up.
Well, thank you very much. I'm delighted to be back at Cardozo. I've been here speaking to students a number of times. You do great work in a tradition of a great name in American jurisprudence. We come to you today, or this evening, from a morning session which was not edifying and did not exhibit what the skills, I think, of anybody here are, or what the purpose of these debates are. It seems to me that what's been lacking, and I take my share of responsibility for anything I criticize everybody else for, is some understanding of what the legal philosophies are of the contending parties. There's going to be a lot of talk tonight eventually about how tough we all are. We're going to sue that one, I'm going to put that one in jail, we can't stand this thing. In the end, what this audience deserves is an insight into the governing legal philosophies of the people who will seek to be the next Attorney General. Let me say two things. There is an important set of constitutional arguments being had in the country and in the nation now. It ranges to the scope and effect of the Commerce Clause, to the levels at which a corporation should be imbued with the characteristics of a natural person, to the application of state constitutional doctrine when it conflicts with federal constitutional doctrine. Now, I bring to this debate a practicing experience with these very issues, having won some and having lost some. And I say to you that the Attorney General of the state has to be the custodian of the broad social and legal principles that are encased in our state constitution first. Those are broader and deeper than what appear in the federal constitution, which is essentially a procedural document. The state constitution is a social document and contains in it prescriptions for the way we should treat each other, not just the way the government should function. I have brought the cases I brought against the Attorney General's office and with the Attorney General's office, but in every case, with respect to what was an unprotected public interest. I'm today in federal district court, not today, but now, in federal district court, litigating against the NRC for its egregious failure to protect the public safety and health and the environment with respect to Indian Point. Those kinds of skills, more so than how we can scowl at purported or actual bad guys, seems to me to be the issues before the House tonight. I'll also tell you this. The office is ripe for a transformation. Not that what's been happening is bad. I believe that the consumer protection and the prosecutorial functions are important. But the Attorney General's office has to become the place where the problems of everyday New Yorkers are addressed through the legal and social and political mechanisms given to us constitutionally.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Before we continue, just in case you hadn't noticed, the timer is here. This gentleman in the dark suit sitting right here, so please keep your eye on him. Thanks. Senator Schneiderman?
No, I'm glad we're going alphabetically.
Sorry, we're going down the table, and then we'll. We used to be sitting alphabetically. Forgive me, but the order changed.
We understand.
Don't disturb Liz when she gets something in her head.
No. Thank you very much. Thanks for having us here tonight. I'm always happy to be at Cardozo. I've done a lot of work with the fine faculty and students here, particularly in the area of wrongful conviction, an issue that I've been heavily involved with and sponsored and written a lot of legislation on, and in the area of the Prisoners of the Census Project, which is legislation I sponsored to change the way we count prisoners for reapportionment purposes so that instead of artificially inflating the population of prison districts, we get people counted back in their home communities, and folks here have worked very closely with me on those issues. I also have worked a lot with the Democratic Lawyers Council, and I can attest to the, if you'd like to talk about transformation, the transformation of this into an incredibly effective group that has worked with us when we've been in the trenches trying to take out Republican incumbents on our way to throwing Joe Bruno and his regime out of power. Thank you for your work. I will continue to work with you for a long time to come. I am running for Attorney General because I believe there's no higher calling than the pursuit of justice. I speak about justice wherever I go. My career has been spent working on issues related to the American justice system. I started out before I went to law school as a deputy sheriff in Massachusetts, setting up a drug treatment program where there had been none. I worked as an activist, had a great career as an attorney, both doing public interest work and representing private clients for years. And before I even got to the Senate, I was the president of the Board of Citizen Action and progressive activist group lawyer for the Nyberg Strap Hangers campaign. So my vision of equal, independent, and progressive justice, that's really the theme of my campaign, is something that has animated my work throughout my career. I'm not sure that everyone is here really to hear a philosophical discussion, as Richard suggests, but I certainly hope that you're here to hear about the work that I've done, how I've lived my life, the causes that I've fought for, and the fact that I think that without question, I've demonstrated an unparalleled willingness, which the members of the Democratic Lawyers Council can attest to put myself on the line fighting for reform of our state's government. It was great to have a lot of people talking about reform now. The members of the DLC can attest that it was a lonely reform movement a few years back, and we got the job done. Happy that everyone else has joined on. But the central issue in this race to me is having an Attorney General who is focused on progressive justice, moving the envelope forward, leaving the state with a little more equality and a little more justice than we started, and taking the battle forward to really realize the dream of New York State. We've backslid in the last couple of decades. The people, the taxpayers, know they're not getting the money they deserve. And when people and voters are upset, that is the best time to be a reformer. I want to be a part of that movement that I've been a leader in already as Attorney General and carry those reforms out. I'm very excited about this opportunity and very pleased to be here with you tonight.
Eric Dinallo.
I think it's important that we strive to the kind of ideals that you just heard about, but this is not about running Plato's Republic. This is about running the largest and most important public interest firm in the United States. It's about the qualifications that will let you feel faith that the next Attorney General can inherit the mantle from Eliot Spitzer and Andrew Cuomo. And the office is operating at an exceedingly high level. Some people think it's the only effective place in state government right now. And the question is, which candidate can take over that office and continue the fine work, and not you fear that it's going to be on-the-job training instead of on-the-job competence. And I submit that I'm the best candidate to do that on behalf of the citizens of the state. I'm the only candidate who, as a public official, has done financial fraud cases, who have taken on the big insurance companies, who's done enterprise corruption investigations and indictments, and done criminal cases in over 40 counties of the state, and done conflicts of interest cases that have changed the way markets and Wall Street have conducted themselves. I'm the only candidate who served as a prosecutor and a regulator, and indeed been a senior person in the Attorney General's office when Eliot Spitzer first showed up. He hired me to take over the Securities Bureau, and we transformed that agency into the powerhouse you see today through the cases that I led and did that have become known as the Wall Street cases. And so when you think about what you want from a candidate in this office, I submit to you that you should be concerned about whether someone has a proven track record. Is the skill set for this particular job, heading an agency of 1,400 people as I have, bringing the kinds of high-impact cases, being sophisticated on the defense side because the office has a huge responsibility in defending complex cases. Which candidate has that? As an assistant district attorney, I took on violent crime. As an assistant attorney general, I took on Wall Street. And as the head of the insurance department, I took on the largest insurance companies and expanded health insurance to 400,000 more New Yorkers and transformed another agency. So when we talk about transformative moments, I feel confident that this office, which is, I believe, the most responsive to New York State needs, and you're not going to get some new laws out of Albany, but you're going to have to hope that the Attorney General's office can become a prosecutor of political corruption can become a continued consumer watchdog in ways that maybe it hasn't even done yet all across the state, making it more accessible. That is the kind of track record I have of transforming agencies that I've either headed or been senior in, and that's what you should expect from this office. And I submit that I'm the best candidate for that undertaking, and that is the test of the campaign, and the very, very important thing that you should consider in who you support in the next Attorney General. Thank you very much.
Sean Coffey to wrap up.
Thanks. It's great to be back at Cardozo. Many years ago, I worked with Barry Scheck. One of my very first cases was a death penalty case down in Virginia. We used this newfangled thing called DNA to help exonerate someone on death row to prove that the evidence used to convict him was not accurate. Unfortunately, he was still executed, but that's another story. I'm running for Attorney General because I believe our state government is badly broken and I can help fix it. I've never run for office before. I'm not like the other candidates, either politically elected or politically appointed. So this campaign is an opportunity for me to talk about what legal skills I bring to the job, my dedication to public service, what makes me tick as a person, and what I plan to do when I get there. So I appreciate the opportunity to touch on that with you tonight. So let me talk briefly about that. A lot of what has evolved in my life comes from where I started. I'm the son of immigrants, Irish immigrants. I'm the oldest of 7 kids. My parents, being Irish Catholic, used the rhythm method. They could not keep the beat, so we 7 kids. My father was a union carpenter. We moved around a lot. Times were tough. I went to the Naval Academy for college for 2 reasons. It was free and I couldn't afford college, and I love my country. I served 8 years on active duty, and I went to law school at night, not intending to be a lawyer, but I fell in love with the law. I left active duty after 8 years, came back to New York. I was at Paul Weiss for 4 years, where I learned that if you're practicing law at a high enough level, it's just as honorable as being a naval officer. And I did a lot of pro bono work there in housing court and, of course, death penalty work. I then went to the U.S. Attorney's Office in the Southern District, tried a lot of cases, loved it. Then I did the classic thing. I went to the big firm, made partner at Latham & Watkins. But it wasn't what I wanted to do. I wanted to play offense. So I left and joined a small plaintiff's firm. Bernstein Littos was there about 11 years and was involved in some of the most exciting and complicated cases, billion-dollar cases of our time. Most of the time I did that, I stayed in the Navy Reserve. And I think that's important as you evaluate why people are seeking this office. I'm seeking it because I believe in public service. 18 years I would leave New York, leave my law practice, leave my family, and go serve in the reserves. The Navy picked me for command of a squadron and a carrier battle group reserve staff. I've missed public service, and I am eager to get back into it because I think our state is in serious trouble. There are 3 things I want to focus on primarily. First and foremost, and the reason I'm running, is to help reform Albany. Our government is badly broken. I have a very detailed agenda. I'm happy to talk about it later. And I don't think you can do it by having someone rotate from one political seat to another. You need an outsider, someone who's got a proven record in a tough environment as I do. The second thing I want to focus on Wall Street. I agree with a lot of what Eric said. We need somebody who understands Wall Street. We've seen the economic destruction that's occurred over our state as a result of Wall Street misconduct. We need someone who understands that beat. The only 2 people running who could even talk about that are Eric Dinallo and me. The third thing I want to do is I want to focus on families like the one I grew up in. So when I look around this state and I see foreclosures, I'll have to talk about that in a little bit. But I think my life experience is such that I can identify with a lot of the pain that folks are going through in New York today. More about that later. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.